Hey, entrepreneurs. What if finance wasn't just about loans, numbers, and systems, but about energy and mindset and clarity and alignment? Well, in this week's interview, I am excited because I'm joined by Leanne Watson, who is known as the Finance Angel. And she is an Australian-wide mortgage broker who helps entrepreneurs and professionals make strategic financial decisions that actually support the life that you really want to live. I'm Gail Bates, and welcome to Entrepreneurs Who Work From Home. This is my weekly series where I sit down with entrepreneurs from around the world to really talk about what it takes to build a sustainable business from home. We explore productivity, work-life balance, and all those practical strategies that actually work in real life. And you will learn so much wisdom from those who are walking the walk, talking the talk of entrepreneurship. So be sure to subscribe and tap that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. Now, in this conversation with Leanne Watson, you will learn about her daily meetings with a very supportive group that help her get into that space where she's expecting things to go well. And, the great value she gets from this routine is enormous. She says when you come from the concept that you get what you focus on, how many times have we heard that? Then starting your day with a good mindset, good things are going to come your way. It's really very simple, but it's also very powerful. And you want to pay attention to Leanne's concept of having systems in your business, because systems create freedom and make things flow. And she really is into that. She's actually invested in a coach to help her build those systems so she can attain that flow. So pay attention to that. And you'll learn from Leanne how she created her brand, which is called the Finance Angel. Because to her, anyone can get a loan, but she wants to ensure that the money you borrow is in alignment with your purpose. So when people come to her for loans, she matches their situation with what they want to do in their business and is able to give them the best advice. So I want you to know that this is not a finance conversation. It's a conversation about building a business and a life that works for you. I think you're going to love it. Well, Leanne, hello. Welcome to my series on entrepreneurs who work from home. I'm thrilled you're here from Australia. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's
great,
a real pleasure.
Great. You are an entrepreneur who is an Australia-wide mortgage and finance broker. That is really amazing.
Yes.
In today's world. So tell us a little bit more about how you got into this business.
Actually, the way I got into this business is actually quite unusual. Usually I say nepotism because my husband had was in the finance industry. He got a job as a salesman selling debt reduction programs a long time ago. Started school, he said, why don't you come and work in the business, Leanne? That way we get to keep more of the money. And I thought, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So nearly 26 years later, here I am still.
I love to always ask this question. How does your day kick off for you? What's kind of like your typical day as an entrepreneur in real estate?
Well, actually, in actual fact, I'm in finance. So I sort of am in real estate by default because I help people find the money to purchase property.
Got it. Okay.
Is one thing. And I also help business owners find money to grow their businesses and buy assets and equipment and that sort of stuff. So my day usually starts much like everybody else's. If I can get outside, that's really nice. If I can do a bit of exercise, that's really nice as well. And I belong to a group called Conscious Creative Mastery, and we meet every morning, Monday to Friday, for half an hour to 3/4 of an hour. And Doug takes us through it's just about how to set up your mind to have a great day. And I've belonged to that group for actually coming up 3 years now, I think, and attend. Most mornings I attend. Tuesdays I have a breakfast meeting, so most mornings I attend that. So I think it's about getting into the space where you're expecting things to go well, and that really helps me. The protocol that Doug teaches is about he calls it doing your orientations in the morning, which is about choosing the end result of living a life you love and being a predominant creative force in your life, to having great health and vitality. And the other one is living your true nature and purpose. So it's really about focusing on those things to set your mind up for a good day.
I love that. I think what's so amazing is that you do that every day with a group.
Yes.
And how does that work? Do you each get to share, or is it done as, you know, as there a mantra or that you're following, or what is it?
Each day has a different. I'm not actually 100% certain what every day is, but Mondays is our orientation day. So that's setting yourself up from the week and what do you want to achieve for the week? What frequency do you want to operate from? So I am a mortgage broker with a little bit of a difference. Tuesdays and Thursdays is much more about information and that sort of stuff. Wednesdays, Doug is very into energy, and so he does an energetic healing. And then Fridays is a meditation. So he usually has some sort of a theme that he operates from. Sometimes it's just random. Every now and again he'll go, you know, what do you want to, is there something particular? Do you have any questions, particularly if he's done something that's involved a big shift on the previous day? And then once a month we have on a Thursday, the last Thursday of the month, we have a Q&A. So if we've got questions that have arisen through the month, then we can ask those. And Terry Ann, who you've had on your program, is his partner, his wife. And so she often comes on those ones as well. So they deal with us together. So it's a really supportive group. And and I'm getting great value from it.
Right. And that was my next question. How does that help you with your business?
I think if you subscribe in any vague way to the concept that you get what you focus on.
Yeah.
If you're starting your day in a good mindset, then you're more likely to get the good things coming your way. If you're flat and revolting and looking and feeling awful and focusing on what's gone wrong, then unfortunately those things tend to come barreling into your life as well. So, so I've noticed over the years that the better I feel, the better things go.
Yeah. That's great advice. And hats off to you taking that step into that and help yourself. And I think that's, as entrepreneurs, that's what we thrive on, is having that community with others, because a lot of time as entrepreneurs, we feel a little isolated because we're got to make our own decisions. We like that, although we like making our own decisions, right? But at the same time, we know we have to make sure that we're connected with others as well. In your business, how do you make connections with people? What is the way that you connect with others?
In terms of getting new clients? Or...
Yes, in your business, yes. Because all entrepreneurs, it's really important that we have those connections, because, as I said, you do it through your the group that you're with, but are there any other ways that you make connections with people?
I belong to a few different networking groups. Some of them are more formal, and others of them are more casual sort of attendance with them. You sort of connect. Out of those meetings, I try and catch up. These days, I'm actually keeping tabs on myself. Catch up with people that I feel that there's a bit of a connection with, that we might be able to work together in some way, or we just clicked as personalities, because it's not always about more business. Sometimes it's just about having that connection between people that makes you feel good about yourself and feel good about the world that you're living in as well. I have been working with a lady who does marketing for the last who has a done for you service, but also has a teach you service. And I've been working with her to learn about marketing and marketing myself and my business. And this year I've upped the ante a little bit. I've hired a friend. She's a friend, but I'm paying her as well to help me get real systems in place, because although marketing is a necessity because you've got to have more clients coming in, it's not actually the thing that puts the roof over my head and the food on my table. So to be able to have somebody else that I can bounce ideas off and will put structure in place to make sure that the things that need to get done do get done, so that when I'm super busy with clients, I'm not the one that's having to do all of that stuff as well.
So what you've just described is you've taken the time to reach out and build connections with people, and also, create some learning process. As systems are so important for entrepreneurs. Is there any particular system that you feel is really working for you right now?
I think once Miranda gets the ClickUp thing working really well, I think that's going to work really well. But in order to set it, my mind isn't one that can set that sort of thing up, because I tend to go into too many details and then it becomes overwhelming. So what Miranda can do is, because she's experienced in marketing and experienced in systems, is that she's able to understand the points that need to be put in place for the system to work really well. So so not only is she going to manage the system, she's probably going to manage me a bit as well. So that's really good.
Well, systems are huge, especially for entrepreneurs, even down to, the smallest system that we need to work our businesses, and it makes things flow for us when we have those in place, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I loved what you said in your bio about you look at yourselves as a finance angel. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So when I originally started my business, my trading name was Your Finance Angels. Okay. And so a lot of my clients who came to me who had interesting situations, let us say, and I was able to sort them out for them, they started calling me, but this is my finance angel, I'd get introduced as. So when I got rebranded a couple of years ago by my marketing coach, she said, well, look, yes, you're finance angels, and yes, you're known as your finance angel, but you are also the brand itself. You need to put your face to the brand rather than just having the other thing. So she rebranded me as my name, Leanne Watson, and then underneath that is Your Finance Angel. So it's all part of my brand still, but it's and it's just the way I like to work as well, because you can just get a loan. Yeah, you can go to, if you're a regular person doing a regular job, you can just go to a bank and get a loan. Right. What people don't understand is that banks are businesses as well, and they have credit policy, which means that they're actually getting their ideal client. And you might have banked with a bank for years as a depositing person, but as a person to be lent money to, you might not fit their ideal client in the same way. And people don't really understand that. So it's about when people come to a mortgage broker, we have a variety of different lenders on our lending panel, and that means that we can understand their situation and match their situation and what they want to do with the lender that's most likely to give them the best outcome.
So talk to me a little bit about any challenges that you have as an entrepreneur.
I think the challenges that I have are probably consistent for all entrepreneurs, is that you have to wear so many different hats. It's not just about the role that and the interaction that you have with your clients. It's you've got to you wear the marketing hat, you wear the finance hat, you wear the every hat that you can possibly be is your hat. You're the decision maker in all aspects of it. And sometimes that can get a bit overwhelming, let's say. And I think I'm so grateful that my friend Miranda has agreed to help me with the marketing stuff and getting that sorted. I had a day where one of the things on my website, I would do one thing, it scores you on your SEO stuff. And I would do one thing, it would say, no, you've got to do this. So I would do that, the score would drop, I'll put the score up and it'd tell me. And I just looked at the whole thing and I just thought, there has to be a better way than this, a better use of my time than this. So that was my turning point for asking for help in that area. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I find is that for me is I'm not so great at asking for help when I need it.
And I think that is so true. And a lot of times entrepreneurs don't ask for the help because they think it's going to cost a lot of money or, but sometimes we have to just take a deep breath and go, this is the help that I need. And I've just got to bite the bullet and make this happen if my business is going to be successful, right? And I love what you said about all the different hats, because yes, as entrepreneurs, that's what we deal with every day. We're moving. And I think I just wrote a blog post about multitasking. And I think as entrepreneurs, we are really good at multitasking because of that. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of entrepreneurs who are watching this will really be able to relate.
One other thing that's just popped into my head is actually knowing when to take a break.
Yes.
Is the other thing. I beg your pardon?
How does that work for you?
Not very well.
So when it's time for you to take a break, I know this is a really good question because I know a lot of us, it's, oh my gosh, I got to get this finished, but I'm exhausted. I need to take a break, right? So, but I've got to get this finished. So, how does that work for you? Do you get it finished or you take the break? What do you choose?
It depends on the task that I'm doing. If I'm like a lot of what I do involves numbers and strategy, and I get to a point where I just have to call it quits because because you're not making decisions that are in the best interest of the clients because your mind is fogged by fatigue. Yeah. So for that point of view, I do have to make sure that I take regular breaks and that I quit when I do understand now when my body has got to that bit and I just can't think for thinking's sake. Yeah. So, but there are things you sort of do need to take a break. This probably sounds a little bit ridiculous, but I can sort of trick my mind into thinking I'm having a bit of a holiday. If I set myself up in bed, I often do my data entry for my bookwork in bed. I set myself up because I'm in bed, I've got a cup of coffee, I can trick myself into thinking that I'm relaxing and I'm just fiddling with the numbers. So it works for me. I don't know if it works for anybody else, but it works for me.
Yeah, I have a little system that I use called the Pomodoro technique. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes. So yes. I did some work with a lady.
Work in 25-minute pieces, so you work for 25 minutes and you take a break for 10 or 15 minutes and you go back. And so that's kind of, I like to make specific things to do in a 25-minute period. And that's how I complete a project. And I think we all have to figure it out. What is the yours is doing your little bookwork in bed with a cup of coffee. It's figuring it out. I think that's what we all do as entrepreneurs, and that's why I'm doing this series, because everybody does things differently, and it's good to hear how other people do things as well.
Tell me, well, the bookwork has to get done, but it doesn't necessarily have to get done at my desk.
Yes. I know. I mean, you could go to the park with your computer if you wanted to, right?
Absolutely.
The beach.
Yep, and I do have a table outside under a tree. So in the afternoons, if it's not too hot, then I can set myself up out there. So and that's nice too, to be out in the fresh air doing it.
Yeah. Now, tell me a little bit about, do you have any kind of way that you set goals for yourself? And how do you break them down? How does that work for you?
I am working currently with Leeanne as part of her momentum method. You had her earlier on, Leeanne Palmer Peacock, and she has a planner that we work with, which revolves around us actually sitting down and working out what are our true choices in life. What do we want to do from our heart perspective, which is a little bit different. I've traditionally not been a great goal setter. Mm-hmm. I either set them too big or too small. And but Leeanne is really, I'm finding Leeanne's program really good, because it's helping me set goals that I believe are achievable these days. And some of them are actually quite big, but with the process that she uses to help us sort through that, they are looking very achievable. So it's exciting.
Are you taking actionable steps? Is it every day that you work on your goals? Is it a weekly thing? What is it? Do you have any specific way?
Yeah, it's every day. And with Leeanne, it's about stepping into your future self and asking the questions of what is my next most obvious step to do. And that's working really well for me. And listening to the answer.
Wow, I love that. Are you somebody that writes down the steps that you need to do to get to achieve the goal? How does that work for you?
I'm thinking about the answer. So there are things that you have to do in a day that there's your stuff that are your tasks that you need to do, and I tend to write those down, because if I don't write them down, I forget them. If I'm not in the office, not in a place where I can write them down somewhere, then I'll send myself an email so that they do get on my to-do list. The big goals that I have are really more about tapping into where I'm creating a creative tension between where I am now and where I want to be, and stepping into that part of me that's already achieved that goal, and then giving that information to the person that's me, so that I'm drawing myself to that.
Right.
Leeanne's much better at explaining it than I am, and I am a very different mortgage broker.
Because I was actually looking for the fact that you actually write down the action steps that you need to take, because that's part of the goal setting process, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that you are doing the other part of it, where you're stepping into the fulfillment of achieving the goal before you get there. I use a little exercise with my clients it's December 31st. You write what's happened as if you've achieved the goal, kind of thing. So it's the same kind of thing, but it's so important with goal setting. I think, we all think, we just have to follow the steps and hope we get there. But if you actually can get your mind around, see yourself as achieving that goal, that's and I think as entrepreneurs, we have to use a lot of these different modalities to understand that that's how we achieve the goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got to believe that you can achieve it.
Yes, exactly. You said it. That's succinct. You've got to believe you can achieve it. I love it. So, in today's modern world of tech, are there any specific tech tools that you like to use that have helped you in your business?
In relation to what I do as a mortgage broker,
Mm-hmm.
in Australia, we have, when I first started in the industry, we got accreditations directly with the lenders that we worked with, and all the customer relationship manager tools and all those sort of things, which were ones that we had to provide for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
As compliance became more of an issue in Australia, and that bit you can take out.
Okay.
Initially in Australia, every mortgage broker worked on their own, then and you got paid a commission from the banks for the mortgages that settled with them. Then groups of brokers started working together, and as a group, they were able to negotiate a higher commission structure because they were putting the loans into the banks underneath the one code, and then the money was getting split up. Those organisations were sort of super broker organisations. They actually developed into a category that we in Australia we call aggregators. So you have the lender, you have the mortgage broker, and between most of the lenders and the mortgage brokers, there's an aggregation company. Those aggregation companies now provide the CRM in most instances, and the online lodgement platforms for the lenders, and the technology that creates our compliance documents as well. So I use those that are from the aggregator that I am a member of. And then in terms of marketing, I use things like Meet Edgar to schedule Facebook posts. I have the ClickUp that Miranda's setting me up with. I have actually a growing list of things that are all different. We're actually doing a tech audit in the next month to see, what I need to keep and what maybe isn't quite so useful anymore. But you can do, there's all sorts of different apps for all sorts of different things. I have, and I've found the school platform is really useful as well for learning and that sort of stuff. I don't have a school group of my own. I did think about it, but at this point in time, that would just add to my workload. It wouldn't actually give me a return.
Yeah. But that's how we met. And that's part of networking, isn't it? And I know you're a great contributor to school groups as well. So, professional development, how do you continue to grow? I'm sure you have compliances in your mortgage broker business, but other than that, what kind of books and podcasts and how do you grow as an entrepreneur? What does that look like for you?
I have Audible. I don't read much anymore. Years ago, I used to read a lot, but if I get the books, then I didn't get much sleep. So I decided that reading wasn't something that I could do anymore, but I can listen. So I have, I think I sent you some. I really like Pam Grout's stuff, her E Squared and E Cubed and those books. I find them really, really good. I like Kyle Gray. I just think that there are there's so many people out there that have got so many good ideas that are worth listening to. And I love autobiographies. I love when people write about their own lives, and I think the difference between a biography and an autobiography is that generally speaking,
Yeah.
The people that write autobiographies are writing about, yes, their challenges, but how those challenges benefited them and skyrocketed them into the next chapter of their lives. Whereas autobiographies are, sorry about that. So I think autobiographies tend to get caught up in all the terrible things that have happened to people, but they don't take it that next step where they look at what at the benefits that came from those terrible situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, I think we read what helps improve us, and that's what we do as entrepreneurs. We like to, it's why we call it professional development. There's reading, and there's listening to podcasts, and I like the people that you mentioned as well. And I think it's really helpful for other entrepreneurs to expand themselves because they may not have heard of the people that you've mentioned as well. So that's So now tell me a little bit about self-care for you, balancing work and balancing life, how do you make time for self-care for you?
There are some things that are sort of not negotiable. I have a thing that counts my steps because I found that a lot of the time I could think I was doing a lot of walking. But once I got this, I realised that actually, no, that's not actually the case. Yeah. So I keep myself accountable by that. I have we call it a wobble board, but it's a vibrating plate. I spend time on that each day. I have a little note in my phone and I write down when I've done my 15 minutes. I have queued in some times when I do some exercises. So I've attached the exercise to something that I do regularly so that I remember to do that. Getting outside, I find, is really good for me. I have just bought myself an ionic detoxifier. You put your feet in it and it detoxifies your feet out of that. Yeah. So I use that pretty regularly as well. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of little things that I do. I do try and have massages reasonably regularly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Australia has the best coffee shops in all the world. You know that, don't you? I bet you have lots of coffee meetings with friends.
I do. I have a coffee office it's actually within walking distance of my home office, and so that actually is good because I get to walk to the meeting, I get to have a nice coffee, and then I get to walk home again at the end of it. So.
I miss those coffee shops a lot in Australia.
Yeah, the coffee in America is. I have been to Hawaii, and it was different.
It's different. Yeah, that. We'll leave it at that. Okay. Okay. So, if there would be one piece of advice or maybe a key lesson that you'd like to share with fellow entrepreneurs for working from home, what would that be?
The better I feel, the better things go.
I love that. Yeah, it's very profound. Yeah. So it's basically taking care of yourself and making sure you have self-care, and you plug that into your weekly, daily, monthly routines, so that you feel good and you're able to, business. Yeah.
It's not such a great marketing strategy, so I'm told, but the better I feel, the more clients come to me.
Yeah, exactly.
If I feel yucky, then something goes wrong, clients don't come. So I really do have to focus on feeling good about myself and my life.
I think it is a good marketing part of a good marketing strategy. It sounds like it to me, and I love that. And I think it's important for other entrepreneurs to feel that as well. So thanks for sharing that. It's really good advice.
Thank you for asking the question.
Share with us more about your business, who you serve, and where people can connect with you. Tell us a little bit more about the services you offer, and we will be putting all of that information in the description below, but share us a little bit more.
Pretty much I can write a loan for anybody, but what I'm really good at is working with people who are professional or entrepreneurial themselves, and I like to work in collaboration with them and their accountant so that I know that the loan is set up in the right structure with the right entities in the right sort of product in order to not just do a transaction and get a loan, but that loan is going to work strategically with everything else that they're doing. So you can just get a loan, but if it's not set up the right way, then maybe it's not tax deductible. If you're not using it the right way, it might not be tax deductible. We're very compliant here in Australia with all sorts of different things, and the ATO makes sure that they get their share of your money. And so it's about work, and they have rules about what you can claim and what you can't claim. So you really do need to make sure that if you've got a loan, that it's structured in the right way for you to get the right outcome for you and your accountant who's managing the taxation side of what happens. So so business owners, professionals, entrepreneurs, they're my target market.
Mm-hmm. And where's the best way for people to connect with you?
My website has all my contact details. It also has a booking calendar link, so you can jump onto that, book a time, 15-minute or 30-minute catch-up time to discuss your situation and how I can potentially help.
Great. And as I said, we will put all of that in the description below as well, with all the links to your socials, because Leanne, you're a great friend and you're a great person to know. And I know that people are going to want to connect with you as well. So
thank you.
You are the finance angel. That's what I love. I love that brand for you. I think it's wonderful. And I want to thank you today so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you. I've really enjoyed being with you, Gail. It's been really, really nice, and finding out more about what you do as well.
Whoa, there's so many gems of wisdom in this interview, wouldn't you agree? Well, here's the three that I loved. The first one was I loved how Leanne believes energy creates outcomes. You know, she says those words, the better I feel, the better things go. And it's so profound. And this is because she's dedicated to starting her day with her morning meetings. She believes how you start your day, how you think, and how you care for yourself directly impacts the quality of your business decisions. Very profound. And my second gem of wisdom was about the way she approaches goal setting. You know, she follows Terry Ann Palmer's momentum method. I also interviewed Terry Ann Palmer. I'll link that interview in the description below. In that method that she's using, she taps into the creative tension of where she is now and where she wants to be by drawing herself towards the goal. It's kind of an interesting concept, and it's important because in goal setting, it's all about believing you can achieve the goal. If you didn't catch that, go back and watch it again. And then gem number 3 was the advice she gives that financial success isn't just about money, it's about alignment. When your business mindset, your strategies, and the values that you have all work together, the growth just becomes sustainable. So if this conversation resonated with you, I want to invite you to reflect on this. Are you building your business from pressure, or are you building your business from alignment? Let me know in the comments below what you think of that. Now, if you're an entrepreneur building from home and you're looking for grounded conversations, practical wisdom, and real stories from people building sustainable businesses, hit the subscribe button and join this growing community. And of course, if you'd like to connect with Leanne, her links and booking calendar are all in the description below. And I'll see you on the next video.